So, celebrated 4 years tonight, man. I finally I was able to get a hold of you.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
You know what? I want to do this interview a little bit different, man. How about if you tell me, how is it today? Like what's going on right now? And then we can flip to how it was.
Okay. What it's like today, man. It's, if you were to ask me a long time ago, I'd be sitting here talking about, recovery and how it's changed my life. I couldn't imagine that. I mean, I'm accomplishing things. I have a life that's worth talking about now.
Nice.
You know what I mean? It's fulfilling. It's beyond my wildest dreams. And the beautiful part about it is that my life is simple.
Simple.
It used to be complicated.
Okay, that's a good segue. So, when did this start? Like, when did the destruction part of it start? And matter of fact, what is your name anyway?
Oh, I'm sorry. My name is Menjou. I'm very grateful and recovering alcoholic and addict. My sobriety date is 12715. I'm 4 years in, baby. You know what I'm saying?
Ain't you a recovered criminal too, right?
I am a recovering felon.
Okay, recovered felon.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, because that's the stuff I think people was listening for when they hear it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So, what happened in the beginning? Like, can you start at like where it started, where the fork in the road was, where you took the left?
Well, I took left instead of going right. I think it was a combination of things. Bottom line, I didn't know how to deal with life on life's terms. And, I was one of those people who had a hole in their soul, so to speak.
Hole in your soul. A
hole in your soul. Like, I didn't know who I was. And because I didn't know who I was, it's like that old saying is, if you don't stand for something, you fall for anything.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have anything to stand on. So I fell for everything and anything. And then I became everything and anything. And it took a long time for me to realize that. A long time for me to realize that. About 30 years.
About 30 years. So when did it get out of hand? Like, can you give it? I need particulars, man. You can't
particulars.
You can't shoot shine over it, man. We got people, like the people that click on this video, they want to hear it and see if they can compare into it. You know?
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, just like everybody else, I wanted to fit in.
Okay.
I wasn't comfortable in my own skin. So I tried to personify something that I wasn't.
All right. And what was that?
And that worked with me.
I don't know.
Rapper.
I'm a guy in Indiana that clicked on the video because I'm smoking crack right now.
I went through so many phases.
Okay.
So many phases. Getting into the wrong crowd, so to speak. I was drawn to the wrong cloud. I gravitated towards it. It was like it was a piece of the wrong crowd was in me and it was pulling me closer to it. If that makes any sense to anybody.
It does. It makes sense to me.
And I can't explain why. You know what I mean? I really can't. Now I know why, because I'm working a program and I dissected some of the behaviors and some of the events in my life that, caused these certain behaviors to come to the fore. But it all started in my teenage years.
And you grew up where?
I grew up in Montgomery County. I'm a Moe County boy.
Moe County boy.
Born and bred,
Proud Maryland boy. High rent, high taxes, and
absolutely.
Oh my
absolutely.
God. It's rough.
Good schools though. Good schools. You know what I mean? My parents slaved. It was good schools. They was very good schools. Blue collar family.
So when did you start sneaking off and doing stuff?
I think in my teenage years. I started out with a little bit of drinking, a lot of marijuana.
A lot of marijuana. So,
if anybody tells you that marijuana is not a gateway drug, they lying. It's a gateway. Because you're going to smoke it for a while and then it's not going to do it for you anymore.
Okay.
And then you're going to find something else to go a little bit harder with. And that's just my experience with it.
So those were the only two drugs you did, like alcohol and marijuana?
Oh, no, I don't ever never think that. Don't ever never think that.
Okay.
I dabbled into opiates.
When was the first time?
The first time.
Is that when you seen it getting out of hand when you touched the opiates, or was it already out of hand when you got to them?
It was never out of hand to me.
Never?
Out of hand.
What's that?
Yeah, I'm just having a good time.
Okay.
It was never out of hand. You know what I'm saying? I'm the type of alcoholic or addict that I can't stop. Something has to stop me.
Okay.
Something has to stop me. If it's the law, ODing, whatever the case may be, something's got to stop me.
Okay.
In order for
you
me
OD'd
to stop.
before?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Can you relay that experience to me?
Yeah, it was off of water. Not the one that you drink, but the one that you dip.
The one that you dip?
Yeah.
And so what's it's angel dust, embalming fluid, basically?
Yes, dippers.
And
That
you
was-
OD'd off of it?
Yeah, I actually did OD off of it. I started convulsing and ODing off of it.
Like, what, like convulsing, like what is that, like a seizure or something?
Yeah. To what I can remember, I just remember hitting it, holding it way too long, and then convulsing and waking up like, what just happened? You know, I had to have a friend of mine, you know, I know it's, you know, it's a remedy, it's an over-the-counter remedy, but he probably poured a gallon of milk down my mouth.
You know, I've heard that
You know
milk
what I mean?
it soothes it or something.
And it stabilized me, you know what I mean? But I ain't gonna lie, I was kind of gone for a couple of days after that. And by the grace of God, I was able to come back. But I used to definitely dip. We used to do silver bullets, dip our weed in the embalming fluid and smoke it that way too.
And so after the overdose, you went right back and kept doing it again after a few days detox or whatever.
I chased that. Yeah, I chased
You wanted that to happen
I wanted
again.
it more. I wanted more. I wanted more. You know, it was very accessible in Montgomery County. We're real close to the city. You know what I mean? It's just as accessible as marijuana. So you know what I mean? Naturally, you know, from the alcohol to the marijuana, you want to do something stronger. Let's do some dippers. You know what I mean? Let's go to the go-go. You know what I mean? That's what we did. You know,
Get high and go to the go-go.
We'll get high, go to a go-go. You know what I mean? And you know, I'd be right by the speaker, zoned out. You know what I mean? Shorty's dancing and
you ain't
everything.
even there.
I'm gooped out. I'm gooped. Damn near
Yeah,
drooling.
you giving me new slang words.
I'm gooped
What's
out.
goop?
I'm just gooped out.
Goop.
Just, you know, that drooling and everything. You know,
Looking like you're on. Okay.
looking like I'm like a fool for real. You know what I mean? Not looking like I'm having fun at all. Like now that I look at people who are off dippers, I be like, damn, that don't look like fun. But when I did it, it was fun. You know. But now that I look at it, I was like, dang, I could have never came back. And you know, the sad part about it is I was around, a lot of friends of mine has done that, and you know, that's not all the way back right. You know, but I'm definitely fortunate.
So I know I spoke to you a few times before I did this interview, but how many times were you incarcerated because of drugs and alcohol and stuff like that? And any particulars you can go into, that'd be great.
Absolutely. I'll go into a couple particulars. I'll go with the first charge that everybody gets, and they always get the IPSA program in Montgomery County.
The who the?
It's an IPSA program, right? So you'll get like a...
What does that mean, IPSA?
IPSA, I don't know what it means. I just know that I had to do the program in order to not get locked up. You know?
Okay.
It was a condition. It was like it's your first charge. You ever get your first charge, you know what I'm saying? Then they'll probably put you in an IPSA program to kind of exonerate that first charge. It's like a slap on the wrist. It's like a week program overall.
Probation before judgment.
Yeah, probation before judgment type thing. You finish the program, they give you a slap on the wrist. It stays there though, but you're free to go. You know. So my first charge was a paraphernalia and possession charge. You know, I got pulled over, had some weed. Because we think of the bright ideas of riding in cars with cloth seats and smoking marijuana in them and hotboxing them and then expecting not to get pulled over by the police and them smell anything. You know, we get those bright ideas when we get drunk and high and want to ride around. So that happened. Caught my first charge. Got the IPSA program. Completed it was like a week. I mean, the only thing I really got of it was more connections.
So you went in there just...
Nonchalantly, it was a bird course, as you would call it. You
Okay.
know what I'm saying? All you had to do was show up. Didn't have to participate, just had to show up, get a little bit of drug information, you know what I mean? Complete it, get the certificate, go back in front of the judge, slap on the wrist, back out on the streets. No extreme consequences whatsoever. I guess that was the important, you break down my drug usage in categories, you know what I'm saying? It was a whole bunch of fun with no consequences.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was a whole bunch of fun with a little bit of consequences.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was a whole bunch of fun with a lot of consequences. And then eventually it was just all consequences.
All consequences.
All consequences.
So when did it start getting like, you was starting to get like either all the way to the left, or you was just like confused, or when did it start being like a problem for everybody, like you, courts?
It was always a problem, to tell you the truth, Donnie. It's just that I like to say that I was functional. You know what I'm saying? So I always had some type of employment.
Okay.
To look good, or I always straddled the fence. You know what I'm saying? I just did enough. You know what I mean? And not really, go all the way full-fledged. And then eventually I just was like, fuck it, I'm going full-fledged.
Going full-fledged.
But that's what enabled the actual process, is that I was kind of functioning in society while I was doing it. So I thought I was. But, as I start to become more honest with myself and my behaviors and my past, I was completely delusional.
I love your answers, man. This is good, man. That means you're working something. So, so when did you get a real incarceration that didn't work, basically?
I had let me see.
Like, did the drugs make you like Superman, or you had to use drugs to handle your business? Like, you didn't feel like you was Menjou when you wasn't high, or what?
When I use drugs, I'm that dude. You know
what
I mean?
Dude,
I'm that dude when I'm that dude, but I was really that dude when I was on drugs. You couldn't tell me nothing. And then coupled with my age with it, 19, 20 years old, like, you couldn't tell me nothing. You know what I mean? You couldn't tell me not a single thing. Invincible. Don't care about any consequences.
No consequences
at all.
Was there any trauma involved that make you use drugs, or it was all you? Like, because a lot of us was using drugs because of trauma.
Absolutely.
Right? Was it trauma or abuse, or was it just you wanting to fit in? Or because I don't know, I don't want to tell your story for you.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely trauma based. I mean, at a young age, I have encountered like sexual trauma is in my history,
okay.
And it's a lot of addicts' histories. You know what I'm saying? A good majority of addicts deal with sexual trauma. At a young age, I was sexually abused by a babysitter. You know what I'm saying? She used to have me do things to her and other kids in the daycare facility. You know what I mean? Her mother was actually the babysitter. It was her daughter who was actually, having the kids do things to each other and do things to her and her friend. And, it took my innocence. I wasn't ready at, 7, 8 years old to, be into that.
A lot of macho men don't take that as abuse. They think that's like a come up or something.
At the time, and I think that's what helped me cope with it. You know what I mean? Because, as young boys and as we're around, that does build a camaraderie, is the vagina. You know what I'm saying? And how we describe our experiences. So at the time, you know what I'm saying? In the forefront, I was like, yeah, you know it. And I know how to do this and everything. But in actuality, subconsciously, it did something to me. You know what I mean? Later, as I learned in the program, I looked at my role, you know what I mean? Because in your fourth step, you know what I mean? You got to find your role and what happened with that. You know what I mean? I was confused. I was like, what do you mean, what role did I play? My sponsor said, sometimes the role that you play is victim. And you can choose to be the victim for the rest of your life, or you can choose to be a survivor and do something with it, and let's face it.
Or you can choose to be somebody who was preyed upon, and that person was a predator.
Absolutely.
Right? Because I don't think any woman could take advantage of you right now.
No.
Like, if no means no. If you say no, it's no, right?
So the antithesis of that is...
What? I don't even know what that word means. That's
opposite.
Oh, the antithesis?
The opposite.
New
opposite
word.
end of the spectrum on that. You know what I'm saying? As I look at it, as I got older and my dealings in relationship with women, you know what I mean? How I used to lie and manipulate women and use them as objects. It's the same way I was objectified as a kid.
So that trauma just messed up a lot of your relationships.
A lot of my relationships. Just that one instance, those sexual acts that was done at around 7 and 8 years old, you know what I mean, subconsciously embedded this, I'm not going to let anybody do anything to me anymore out of my power. Okay. You know what I mean? I'm going to be the predator now. and I ruined a lot of good women, a lot of good relationships, you know. And there's nothing that I can say. If you were one of them, I apologize. You know, there's nothing that I can say or do to make up for some of the things I've done to some of the women in relationships in my past. You know, but I can make a living amends, and I can constantly work on those behaviors because I still have some of those behaviors to this day.
And what is a living amends? Because I heard you just...
A living amends is the same thing that I did back then, I don't do now.
Okay, so I'm going to live this out.
I'm going to live this out.
All right.
You know, I'm not just going to say it, I'm going to live it. You know, and it's a constant process. This isn't something that you just nip in the butt. Like, it's something I have to constantly remind myself and reevaluate these behaviors because I do fall short. You know what I mean? I will find myself lying for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
I will find myself being manipulative, and I have to self-evaluate. You know what I mean? I have to call my sponsor. I have to do my fourth step and reevaluate those behaviors and then fix them. You know,
I must say, you're well versed, man. Like, the way you articulate your words is really, that's nice.
Montgomery County education. You know what I'm saying?
That's why I rent so
Montgomery
high.
County education.
I got my education in Harlem, so you might hear a B every once in a while.
PS 115.
Yeah, from St. Catherine's didn't even like it. Okay.
Right. But yeah, you know what I mean, though.
I do. So that
I had to deal with.
So that's the trauma that made you do the things that you did with women, basically.
That attributed to it.
But you did not do what they did to you to women, of course, right? No. I just want to disclaim that because this is on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
We're not going to start another Me Too movement.
No.
Okay.
Please don't. I have not Cosby'd anybody. You
know?
No.
I was talking about a bunch of men talking about this woman did this to me and this woman did this to me.
Yeah, we're not.
I don't want to do that, right?
That's not a part of the program. I have to clean up my side of the street. So right. I have to evaluate my behaviors and my role in it.
Because at an age like that, it's really hard to go to your mom or dad and say, "Hey, this person touched me," or "This person did this." So
and I didn't come to terms to that until I went to rehab. Like, my parents were completely oblivious of this until I was 33 years old.
So you held that trauma from 7 to 33.
From 7 to 33, absolutely. I held that trauma for a long time, and when I finally was able to admit that to my parents, you know, it did kind of make them uncomfortable. I could see it in their face when I did it, but they got more of a full spectrum of understanding of what was going on with Menjou and why he was acting the way he was acting. You know what I mean? Why he shunned away from intimate relationships for a while. You know what I mean? Just for that simple reason. You know, and it was an eye opener. You know what I mean? And you know, just to get the reassurance from my parents saying that if we would have known that back then, then we would have pressed charges. We would have did something about it. I'm so sorry that happened. And I was able to gain some closure. You know what I mean? And not only that, it made me and my folks, you know, relationship a little bit more intimate, more strong, you know, stronger. I was able to express myself emotionally in a way that I wasn't able to do before, because you know, the way that I express my emotions is through a substance.
Gotcha. So, when was your first major incarceration? You know, I did my homework, right? So
my first major was probably. Actually, it was in Fairfax County, to tell you the truth. I'm a good runner.
Where's Fairfax County?
Fairfax County is in Virginia.
Virginia, okay.
Virginia. Commonwealth.
Oh, you're in a
Same
Commonwealth.
below.
You're in a Commonwealth.
Yeah,
you're in a
I know. It's
now.
making me itch. It really is. Like, I'm itching.
Well, you're not criminal no more. You're fine.
I know, but it still
good.
makes me itch. You know.
They will pull you over and make you get on your knees in that snow, though. Don't worry about it.
It makes me itch to be up here, but Virginia, probably Fairfax County. I was in Fairfax County. I'm a good runner. You know what I'm saying? I'm a very good runner. You know, I can't hide well, but I can run well. You know, I had a warrant in Virginia, and because I lived in Maryland, I was like, who's showing up to court? Holla! Until I got in trouble in Maryland, and they expedited me to Virginia.
Oh, okay.
And now I had to deal with it. You know, with literally, you know, at this point, I just started burning my bridges.
What was the warrant for? Were you like a drug dealer or?
No, the warrant was actually for trespassing. Check this out. It was when the PS2s first came out. Right? So we down in Tyson's Corner with a group of friends of mine, right? We all dumb, waiting for the stores to open up. We in the daggone car smoking, hot boxing the daggone.
Early in the morning.
Early in the morning. I don't even think, it was like 2, 3 in the morning. Prime time to do that, right?
Oh, yeah.
Stationary.
Very smart.
You know what I mean? Waiting in the car, just smoking, and then, you know, police tap on the window, and, you know, I happened to be able to finesse. You know what I'm saying? Because it was dark outside, I was able to pull one of these and throw whatever I had, you know what I'm saying, away. But they hit me with a trespassing because they got upset. They couldn't find anything. They knew something was there because they smelled marijuana. They searched everybody. You know.
So they were definitely right.
They were definitely right.
Definitely right in their action.
Oh, they were right.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But I fought them like they were wrong. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we don't want nobody to know.
Right. But I got a trespassing, and I was supposed to go to court, and I was like, I don't live in Virginia. How? And it ended up catching up to me. You know, so I got expedited to Virginia because the Commonwealth wants everything. They want every penny. You know what I mean? I sat in Fairfax jail for like 2.5, almost 3 weeks, awaiting to see a magistrate for them to drop the case because it was like 2 to 3. It was like 2 years old at that point.
Okay.
You know, so that was also kind of like a slap on the wrist for her. I ate that 2.5 weeks up. It sucked, but I kind of ate it up, and I wasn't done. I just wasn't done. You know.
So then what happened after that?
Then after that, went back to the same neighborhood, around the same people, you know, dealing with the same people, and I decided to do a lick with my friend.
What's a lick?
A lick. It's a robbery.
A robbery?
Or a burglary.
Hey, don't look at me like I'm funny when I ask you this. I know there's somebody watching. It's like, hey, what is he talking about? What is a lick?
We did a burglary.
Burglary.
Long story short.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Man, I was living with a mutual friend of ours, and we did the burglary in the same neighborhood at one point. You know, and we did it. And
so you robbed your neighbor?
Well, it wasn't my neighbor.
His neighbor.
So that's why it was okay. That was my terminology. So I got really high, and we did it. You know, and needless to say, somebody ended up telling on us.
So if you wouldn't have got high, you wouldn't have did that?
Probably not. I think you know, being sober now, I'm a pretty logical person when I'm sober. You know what I mean? If it doesn't look like a good idea, I'm probably not going to do it. I'm probably going to have to be inebriated to do it in some in some sort of manner. And I like the mix. So you don't know who you get. That day you got, mixed with a little bit of Project Pat. We were listening to that. I do remember we were listening to some Project Pat. Let's plan a robbery, 3 6.
Oh my God.
We was listening to all that. And it just was like, well, let's plan a robbery.
Let's do I'm sorry for laughing.
You know what I'm saying?
It's just the way you're expressing it is so funny.
Like, well, let's plan a robbery. He's like, yeah.
Okay.
It just seemed, we ain't had no money because we spent all our money on getting packs and messing up our money. Because that's what we did. We get a pack.
Drugs, sell drugs.
We do well for a little bit, and then we fall off because some J's come up. You know? And then we're like, dang, I guess we partied and smoked a little bit too much. So now I need to find some money. And it seemed like a good idea. I had to listen to some music, some influential music at the time. And we did that. Yeah, and we did that. And I'm definitely not proud of that. That was so stupid. Now that I look back on it. And we did that. By the grace of God, I was able to get exonerated from that too.
You got a slap on the wrist again.
I got a slap on the wrist, dog.
Man, you done talked about 3 of them already.
Off some incircumstantial evidence type stuff. Because like I said, I'm a runner. I ran. And I ran for almost like 18 months with a warrant. And you know what? We're as addicts and alcoholics, we're adaptation artists. So I end up going all the way on the other side of Montgomery County, linking up with some party buddies. Found this dude who was living with his grandmother, and ended up staying with him and his grandmother for like 18 months.
And you were still doing stuff while you were on the run?
Of course.
Of course.
I gotta survive. Met up with another guy who had this scheme about painting address numbers on the curb. You know what I mean? Police was getting hot. He said, look, man, I'm going to Florida for the winter. I said...
Hold up. He was doing what?
He did, he painted address numbers. Like, you know how you have people's address numbers on the curb? You know what I mean? Where you put their numbers and stuff. And then he put like these iridescent highway crystals on there. So when the headlights hit them, they kind of shine. You know what I mean? And that was his hustle. You You know what I mean? He used to go around asking people, hey, you know, we're in your neighborhood, want to repaint your address number. You know what I'm saying? While we're here, $20 a pop. You know what I mean? So that's where I got my little, you know, as a, you know, I got the gift of gab. So
nice.
I'm going around, I'm talking.
I never even heard of that.
I'm getting the whole neighborhood. I was like, look, we may not even be doing your neighbors. Look, we're doing your neighbors over there now. You know what I mean? You want yours to look just as good as theirs, right? You might as well $20 while we're here. You know what I'm saying? Boom! All of a sudden, we do a whole neighborhood. We got $300, $400, $500, and guess what we do? Blow it, blowing, drinking, smoking, partying, strip club, whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, he took his hustle down to Florida, and I had a warrant in Montgomery County, so I'm going to Florida. So we did the same thing in Tampa. Long story short, me and him broke bad over some money because he wasn't paying me like he was supposed to, and I had to call my folks to send me a plane ticket to get back to Maryland.
So you didn't have any money?
I didn't have any money.
So you were down there, no money, nowhere to stay?
No money, nowhere to stay, warrants, everything. Came back.
So even if
Greyhound.
So even if you wanted to get a place to stay, you couldn't because you got warrants?
Yeah, I got warrants. So luckily, my folks gave me like one more chance and let me come back to the house. You know, and then that's when they, you know, eventually caught up with me. I ended up going to court in circumstantial evidence. Yeah, I'm sorry.
I don't think we're sorry whispering on me.
I ended up going to
court
in circumstantial evidence, slap on the wrist.
Okay.
Stack docket.
Another?
Yeah,
That's 5.
Slap on the wrist. 5 slaps on the wrist. And then between that, an extended 7-year probation. So I was supposed to do 2 years probation. Kept on catching new charges. The judge extended me to 7 years.
So the slaps on the wrist, you were just thinking, sweet, I can just keep getting slaps.
I'm invincible.
And running. Slaps
I'm invincible.
And
running. Finesse king.
When did the slaps on the wrist stop?
As you get older, the stakes get higher, the consequences get more severe.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? At this point, I started developing, you know, what I learned in my biggest charge as I started to learn, they call it in the courts, a subsequent offender. So I started to become a subsequent offender.
Subsequent offender.
Mm-hmm.
What is that?
I started to become one of those. That means that I'm getting the same charge for the same thing multiple times.
Okay, so you're doing the same thing.
I'm doing the same thing.
So you're a bad guy.
And they're all pretty much drug related. You know what I mean? None of the burglaries stuck because they're now like precipitated, so it was going. You know what I'm saying? So all of my charges became drug charges. So I have a history of drugs. I have a history of drug charges.
And you didn't get rich either, so you was actually using the whole time.
I was using the whole time. Was the money like it was supposed to be? No, because I was using it. I was breaking the commandments.
Buying half, selling half, breaking even every time.
Every time, and not even breaking even most of the time. Losing. Losing.
So what woke you up?